Welcome back to Majestic Grace Bible School. We're reading Proverbs, the 19th chapter today, and this is on life and conduct. Aren't you glad that God gave us Proverbs? It's our basic instructions before leaving earth, or the basic instructions is how to have a good life. Okay, starting with verse 1. Better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than a rich man who is twisted in his speech and is a short sighted fool. Also, it is not good for a person to be without knowledge. And he who hurries with his feet, acting impulsively, and proceeding without caution or analyzing the consequences or sin, misses the mark. Whoops. Let's see if we can get into the next one. This is verse 3. The foolishness of man undermines his way, ruining whatever he understands. Then his heart is resentful and rages against the Lord. For being a fool, he blames the Lord instead of himself. I don't know about you, but I know sometimes in my past I blamed the Lord for my mistakes and the things that I was doing. I was blaming the Lord. It wasn't his fault. It was mine for being foolish. Wealth makes many friends, but a poor man is separated from his friend. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who breathes out lies will not escape. Many will seek the favor of a generous and noble man, and everyone is a friend to him who gives gifts. All the brothers of a poor man hate him. How much more do his friends abandon him? He pursues them with words, but they are gone. He who gains wisdom and good sense loves and preserves his own soul. He who keeps understanding will find good, and he will prosper. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who breathes lies will perish. Luxury is not fitting for a fool, much less for a slave to rule over princes. Good sense and discretion make a man slow to anger. That's a really good scripture right there for us to ponder. Good sense and discretion make a man slow to anger. We want to try to breathe and not get angry because, anger opens the door for the enemy to attack us. So you want to be really careful that you control your anger. It says, and it is his honor and glory to overlook a transgression or an offense without seeking revenge and harboring resentment. The king's wrath terrifies like the roaring of a lion, but his favor is as refreshing and nourishing as dew on the grass. A foolish, ungodly son is destruction to his father, and the contentions of a quarrelsome wife are like a constant dripping of water. Wow. So, women, wives, be really careful that you're not being contentious or quarrelsome because it's troubling to your husband. House and wealth are the inheritance from fathers, but a wise, understanding, and sensible wife is a gift and blessing from the Lord. Got a little bug there. Okay. Laziness casts one on into a deep sleep, unmindful of lost opportunity. and the idle person will suffer hunger. So let's repeat that one. Laziness casts one into a deep sleep, unmindful of lost opportunity. And the idle person will suffer hunger. In other words, if you're not willing to work, chances are you will be hungry. He who keeps and obeys the commandment of the Lord keeps and guards his own life. I want to stop there just a minute. Let's go back up and look at that other one for just a minute, where it says the idle person will suffer hunger. That is definitely truth, but the Bible also says that uh, the godly, the righteous, will not be begging bread, which means that God will provide either a business or an income or a means by which he will provide for you. But it doesn't mean you just sit around waiting, but it means that you take every opportunity that God gives you to be able to move forward and to bring food for yourself or allow God to bring it. Okay. He who keeps and obeys the commandment of the Lord keeps and guards his own life. But he who is careless of his ways and his conduct will die. He who is gracious and lends a hand to the poor lends to the Lord. I love this scripture. He who is gracious and lends a hand to the poor lends to the Lord, and the Lord will repay him for his good deed. And the Lord will repay him for his good deed. In other words, when we give to the poor, we're giving to God, and he repays us, not the person, but God himself. That's such a beautiful scripture. Discipline, discipline and teach your son where there is hope, or while there is hope. Let me say that correctly. Discipline and teach your son while there is hope. And do not indulge your anger or resentment by imposing inappropriate punishment, nor desire his destruction. In other words, don't abuse your child. But punishment can be important, but there's a difference between punishment and abuse. Make sure you're asking the Lord to give you wisdom when you're disciplining a child so you don't break their spirit. A man of great anger will bear the penalty for his quick temper and his lack of self-control. For if you rescue him from the consequences of his action, you will only have to rescue him over and over again. In other words, as parents, we want to rescue our children. I can't tell you how many times we've wanted to bail our children out and rescue our children. But it says here, if you do that, he'll just keep repeating the offense over and over until he learns the consequences of his actions. So be a good parent, but also be careful. Listen to counsel and receive instruction and accept correction, that you may be wise in the time to come. Many plans are in a man's mind, but it is the Lord's purpose for him that will stand and be carried out. I love that. Many plans do we have for our own lives. Many plans, but it's God's purpose that will prevail in all of it if we trust him. That which is desirable in a man is his loyalty and his unfailing love. But it is better to be a poor man than a wealthy liar or a wealthy thief. Be careful how you gain your riches. The fear of the Lord leads to life, so that one may sleep satisfied, untouched by evil. The lazy man buries his hand in the fool's dish. In the food dish, but probably the fool's too. The lazy man buries his hand in the food dish, but will not even bring it to his mouth again. Strike a scoffer for refusing to learn, and the naive may be warned and become prudent. Reprimand one who has understanding and a teachable spirit, and he will gain knowledge and insight. He who assaults his father and chases away his mother is a son who brings shame and disgrace. Cease listening, my son, to instruction and discipline, and you will stray from the words of knowledge. In other words, if you stop listening and you stop listening to instruction and you stop being trained by discipline, you'll stray from the words of knowledge. A wicked and worthless witness mocks justice, and the mouth of the wicked spreads iniquity. Judgments are prepared for scoffers, and beatings for the backs of thick-headed fools. Wow, life and conduct. And this is a theme that's going to go on for a wow. Let me just double check here. It looks like it goes all the way through Proverbs 23. So the Lord is going to teach us how to live and conduct our lives for Him. Hope this blesses you. See you in our next class.